Do it. Hello, Candy. How are you today?
I am good. How are you?
Great. Candy, can you pronounce your last name for me? I don't want to butcher your name.
Yeah, sure. It's Motzek. Motzek. Motzek, just like it's spelled.
All right. Perfect, perfect. And you are from Vancouver, British Columbia.
Exactly. Yes, in Canada.
Awesome. And you teach people to build successful coaching business and to leave their 9 to 5 so their lives and businesses feel as good on the inside as they look on the outside. Is that correct?
It is. Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. So, um, in 2014, you left your senior role in corporate. Would you like to start there?
Sure. Yeah. Actually, we could start just a little bit before that.
Okay.
Um, so I it started in 2014. I went on a really interesting cruise, and I know that you have done so much international travel and you've been stationed in so many countries. So the cruise that I went on was from Santiago, Chile, and then we went down the coast, we rounded the Cape, and we went to Antarctica. And then we came back, went through the Falkland Islands, and eventually landed in Argentina. And so the reason that I talk about the cruise is because that can be some really, really rough water. You know, we've heard about how many people have perished going around the Cape. And frankly, I was pretty nervous. I was like, yeah, we're on a cruise ship, but like, I've seen those videos with things flying, furniture flying. And so I was really scared. Plus, we were going to Antarctica, where it was very, very cold. So all of this time, very nervous, super excited, but also nervous. Well, the day dawned when it was the day to round the Cape. And I could find the photo if you ever wanted to see it. But they allowed us to go out on the front of the cruise ship, which is a pretty unusual occurrence. And it was about 70 degrees, sunny, not a stitch of wind. So we rounded the Cape and it was so clear you could actually see through the water. So you could see right some of the reefs underneath. And then in the distance there is this monument, you know, to recognize the people who had a real dream and a passion to go and create something with their life. And it was such a strong passion that they were willing to sacrifice their life for it. And so many people, of course, have died there. Well, here's me having been so nervous. And what do we have? Completely calm, clear water, a beautiful warm day, not even a stitch of breeze. We go around the Cape. The captain comes on the horn and he said, ladies and gentlemen, this never happens. We're going to go around again. So we went around one way, then they turned and went around the other way. So the reason that I tell you this is because how many times do you not do something because you're nervous? How many times do you hold yourself back from having that life that you dream of because you think it's going to be so scary and so dangerous? And so for me, that was that turning point. That was the idea that I had been so nervous about this voyage, and yet it was so beautiful and calm. Well, where else have I done that in my life? And that was the time that it was like, okay, you've had the good job, but you're not happy. There's lots of things on the outside of your life that look good, but on the inside, this isn't you anymore. And so that was that turning point that said, it's time to go and do something different. So that's the story of how I became a coach.
That's an amazing story, analogy, a metaphor, um, which rings true to your life and the people's lives that you touched. Now, talk to me. Did you start out deciding to coach coaches
No.
initially, or talk to me about your coaching journey?
Yeah, so I didn't have any idea about what a niche was. I'd never even heard the word. And so I started my coach training, and it was a pretty extensive program. And then as time went on, I needed to choose a niche. And I did not choose coaches at that time. I had I was doing a lot of coaching with leaders and just helping them get over imposter syndrome, manage their stress, manage burnout and that sort of thing. But over time, all of a sudden I had accumulated a really wonderful practice with quite a few coaches who wanted to start their business and quit their job. And so the niche really chose me. All of a sudden I look around and I see all these wonderful coaches and I'm like, okay, I guess this is a thing, right? So that's how I started with that niche. Yeah.
It's amazing that you mentioned that because I started off in my coaching journey um, working with women because working in non-traditional fields such as construction in the military organization, Corps of Engineers, I felt a calling to help women to try to overcome challenges and roadblocks that they face um, with systemic racism. I'll just call it like it is. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have been able to overcome many of those challenges because I've moved 8 times. Because it's like when you realize that you've done all you can, then there's time to see what else the world has out there for you. Okay.
Mhm.
Because the world can be calling you, and we just don't listen to the signs that are around us. So, saying that, um, having done career coaching, then went to leadership coaching, and then coaching executives, and then now finishing up systemic team coaching with coaching.com gives me an opportunity to not only coach the individual, coach the team leader, coach the team, and coach the stakeholders and partners and all the internet interconnections in between,
Yeah.
which I
What a
find
what a what a great evolution, right?
yes. Yes, so as we're talking about how to market, to me, the easiest part of coaching is the schooling part. The hardest part is once you get schooled, okay, well, how do I market my services?
Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
and as we know, who are you talking to? Because I can coach anybody, really. You can too, really, on anything, because
Mm.
it's the client comes with you with all the internal and external resources. We just sit there and we listen, and we provide we ask, very open-ended questions to get the client to start thinking things different in a different way. Okay,
Agree.
but
Yeah.
however, those all of those different things really didn't fulfill me as far as coaching. So I kept changing this avatar, okay, that we're supposed to be talking to. It just keeps changing. And as so what do you say to a coach that is experiencing this? It's like identity
Yeah.
crisis.
Interesting. And I wonder, so there's a couple of things. The first is that selling coaching is can be really difficult. And that's because, as you described, you sit and you listen deeply to what the person is saying, and you ask them powerful, open ended questions, and you allow them to come to a new perspective and then choose new actions out of that. And you don't know if it's powerful or not. And that's why we need the marketing. So, what I've found is that myself, I am a coach and I'm an ICF mentor coach as well as a PCC. So I've got hours and hours of coaching experience. And for me, I have to be really conscious when I'm coaching and when I'm mentoring. And so I've created a blend. Sometimes I'm training, sometimes I'm mentoring, sometimes I'm coaching. And I'm just really conscious about which role that I'm playing. And I found that that's pretty common for coaches is that there comes a point where they have to create something that a potential client can understand before they even know they might be interested in purchasing. And the way that I like to describe it is people love to buy solutions. They love to buy the solution to a problem, or they love to buy a dream or a goal achieved. That's a thing that makes sense to them. Coaching is the method, one of the methods for how we get there, but they're not going to buy coaching if they don't know it's going to help them be a better leader or have a promotion or find a satisfying role in a new country. They need to know that there's something that they're going to get on the other side. And I think that's the thing that happens. So now back to the idea of finding different avatars and trying to sort of narrow in on something that feels satisfying for you. So I think that we have two aspects. First, we've got something that I call the dream client. And I got the dream client terminology from a fellow who is my coach. I'm not working with him currently, but I've worked with him for years. He's another Canadian. His name is Joey Ragona. And he tells us to choose the individual that we would love to work with. That individual is a varied person. They have different things that they want in their life. So your niche is the what. What is the challenge you help them overcome? The avatar is the who. So when you're thinking, how do I choose this? I love the idea that we need the who has a challenge or a dream, and what exactly is it can I help them with? So for you, trying these different approaches, like trying to narrow in and feel really comfortable with who might be your avatar and how that might work better for you, it might be the same person, but it might be a different challenge in their life. For example, a woman who is having challenges with trying to have a really great career, but is experiencing maybe some discrimination or some boundary issues or something, she might be having that challenge. And then at the same time, she might have another challenge. Maybe she wants an improved relationship, right? So is it possible that it's the same individual, but a different part of their life that is the part that is going to be the niche that will be the most satisfying?
Well, as we know, Candy, when an individual come to you, I might come to you for time management, but in essence, I have other underlying issues that I really have that might be more pressing, and that's where the wheel of life, you giving them a different perspective. Hey, do this wheel of life, and then you get a perspective. What's really important to you in your life at this point in time? You know, so it could be just one thing, but it's a multitude of things when you start going below the surface. Okay.
Agreed. Yes, 100%. And everything is connected. So the example that you said about better time management. Well, is it time management or are you actually feeling bored? You don't need to manage your time better if you're bored. You need to find a way to feel more engaged with your life, right? So,
Absolutely.
yeah, sometimes there are underlying issues for sure. But when somebody comes and says, I need help with my time, that's the solution that you're going to give them. And they're going to find out with time that it's not just time. There's something else going on here. So it's a wonderful thing to sort of go through these layers and help people get to that underlying piece that's so satisfying for them.
Absolutely. And that's the whole thing where we talk about the onion. peeling away all the layers and to see what's underneath. Sometimes that can be scary.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's the thing, right? Like that's where the coach and the client create a safe relationship. And you're never going to
Co-creation.
go deeper than they're comfortable at the time. Give it time.
Absolutely. We have
Yeah.
to, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah,
Oh no, you're good. You're good.
we have to meet the client where they are, not where we want them to be.
Yes. Yeah. Their life.
Absolutely. And their choice.
Yes.
So, with that in mind, I'm gonna tell you one of the biggest challenges that I feel that coaches uh, go through is imposter syndrome. Just to be completely honest, because sometimes, and I sit back and somebody else read your say somebody else read your bio, and I'm like, who are they talking about? I'm looking around, who are they talking about? They're not talking about me. Okay, and every time I see something on email, it's like, okay, they talking to me. It's like subliminal message. Okay, buy this because this will help you to get 100,000 followers. This will help you make $100,000. This will help you
Yeah.
make money while you're sleeping. But if you don't feel confident in yourself and your ability, you just throwing money down the drain.
Yes. Yes. There's lots of great solutions, but is it the right time for you in your business to be looking at that solution?
Yeah. So what would you say to that? What would you say further about that,
About
Candy?
the timing and the tool or about imposter syndrome? Because
About
both are interesting conversations. Yeah.
about imposter syndrome. Do you feel that maybe that's one of the biggest things you find in coaches, the common thread?
It's a very, very common thread. And I love to joke about it because I know that all of my clients are not nearly as suffering from imposter syndrome as I do. So I claim that I am the president of the club of imposter syndrome because it's been a long standing fact in my life, right? And so this is great because it means that we're not alone. It means that we're in good company if we experience that. Imposter syndrome is one of those things that it's a pretty normal experience, especially when you're relatively new to a new venture. And if you think about it, if you've never been a successful coach before and you're doing something new and you're surrounded by people that you think are more successful than you, it's only natural to feel like you don't quite fit in, right?
Yes,
Now,
absolutely.
the thing that we got to know is that sometimes, because most of us are coaching, I won't say in isolation, but I work from my she shed in my backyard and I speak to people on Zoom all day long. But I don't know some of those people that I see on LinkedIn or Instagram or whatever. I don't know if they're really as successful as they portray themselves. So it kind of is a funny thing, right? Like you're comparing yourself to an unknown quantity and comparing yourself unfavorably to an unknown quantity. But do know that when you are brand new, it's normal to feel self doubt. It's normal to feel like you don't quite know what you're doing. And that is nothing to worry about because with time, the more you coach, the more you write posts, the more you show up and do interviews, the more you prepare and learn from your experience, pretty soon you're not going to be feeling like an imposter anymore. I don't feel like an imposter anymore as a coach or as a business person, but I've experienced that a lot in my life.
Well, thank you for sharing that because I have suffered tremendously from it. And but it's ironic that in my career with the federal government, I was not. I was just the opposite. Okay.
Yeah.
So now being an entrepreneur is uncertainty, okay? And there's more chance for failure. Okay, I hid behind that job because I used coaching. I did coaching as a hobby,
Right.
knowing that one day I might have to pick that up as a skill to really go out and coach, and have accumulated over 500 coaching hours as a um, result. And even though I failed the PCC, 3 times, okay, it is what it is. I'm taking Lissa the Heart's course.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and next time I'm gonna knock it out the park. Okay, the first time I failed 43 points. The second time 22. The third time 17. I'm getting there slowly but surely. Okay, I
And
already
and
got.
the only way to fail is to no longer improve and try, right? Like those are just mistakes. They're just you just didn't quite get that score at that point. But if you can reframe it, and I mean obviously you have a very healthy attitude towards it, but reframing it just means that you're just improving. Each time is like an improvement. And then once you have that PCC, you will have it forever, right?
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
how many people wouldn't even, back to my story about being too scared to even try. How many people thought they would like to be a coach, but never even started, right? And
And
look
you
at you
know
so
what?
much farther along, right?
Yeah, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but you're right. And that's one of the things Les Brown talked about in his quote, how many people dead, people dead that didn't get it, that was too afraid to just stick with it and and achieve their dreams. Okay?
Exactly. Yeah.
Just when you're ready to give up on your dream, that's when the magic happens.
Yes,
Every time.
exactly. Yeah,
Okay?
exactly. I
And we
wanted to
know that.
can I just tell you one more thing about imposter syndrome? Did
Absolutely,
you know,
please.
did you know that more than 70% of people experience imposter syndrome at some point in their life?
I know it's high.
It's huge, right?
Yeah,
And one of the best ways to overcome imposter syndrome is to first accept ACCEPT that sometimes it's a normal thing if you're not if you're new. But then also imposter syndrome thrives in isolation. So as long as you're in your head, it's happy. But you go find somebody that you can trust, that has somebody that you can have a conversation with and share how you feel. Not everybody, somebody, even one person that you can trust and say, "This is how I'm feeling." And that takes the air out of imposter syndrome so quickly because now it's not in isolation. Now you've got somebody else who says, hello, don't you remember the time you did this and this and this and this and how you overcame that and that, right?
absolutely. Having a support system is so vital. I can't tell you
Mm.
every time when I'm feeling down and blue, like recently that when I submitted those paperwork, like yesterday was my last final day as an Army civilian. Um,
Wow.
and so I was feeling really at my low point, and I will call on my crew. I call each and every one of them. They're like, Margaret, no, no, no. It was time. That just helped you to make that decision. And that meant so much to me. You have no idea.
Mm.
The
Yeah.
power of connection. Okay.
Yeah. And also, Margaret, you think about what kind of legacy that is that you've got a crew like that that you can call on who is there. Like that says a lot for the quality of the person that you are and the quality of the support and relationships that you have developed over time that you have that. So good for you.
Well, thank you. That's a blessing, and I stand on that. And each of them, they say, "Hey, call me anytime," And I say the same thing, and you can take that to the bank. And when you think about it, it's I can count those people on one hand, okay? Because we have a lot of associates and people like, oh yeah, but when the chips is down, I can count those people on one hand, seriously,
Yeah.
and that's truly
Yeah.
a blessing. you know.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
that has been so vital for me during my career is the connections that I've made, because I could not have came this far. I wouldn't be alive today without those people, because we don't leave nobody downstream. We bring everybody along with us. Okay? And that's
Mm-hmm.
what we do. And given the opportunity, I want to give back to be able to do some mentor coaching. Okay? And that will enable me to perfect my coaching skills and abilities.
Right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's a very virtuous cycle. I like it.
Absolutely. You got to pay it forward, because who is going to pave the way for future coaches if we don't do it?
Right.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And what advice would you have for individuals that are thinking about becoming a coach?
I think that there's a lot of people who would like to be a coach. But before you decide if it's the right thing for you, I think you should have a coach. You should experience coaching. It doesn't mean that you have to coach with somebody for 6 months or a year, but at least have 2 or 3 coaching conversations so you can see if you like that kind of dynamic. It can be pretty intense, right? I mean,
Yes.
often we're asking questions and holding the space for our client, and it can be uncomfortable for them to think about themselves in a different way. Like it takes a lot of mental energy to find a new perspective. So if you're thinking of being a coach, you can't read about it, you can't watch YouTube about it, you can't listen to enough interviews. You need to go out and get coached. And then you're like, you'll know. It'll be like, well, that was interesting. Or, oh, I really want more of this. And so that's the way you're going to start. You can't coach anybody unless you've experienced coaching yourself. It is not an intellectual pursuit.
I couldn't agree more, because I can tell you right now that when I decided to start Substack, I was zeroing in on who I wanted to hire as a coach. Okay? I want to
Yeah.
look at the people that got the influence and the power. Okay? And I connect with those people. I'm a connector. That's what I do. And connect with those people, and learn what they know, and utilize what's useful for me. Okay? Just because this person made $10,000 on this, doing it this way, that may not gravitate to me. Okay? I have
Mm-hmm.
everything that I do is based on principles and my values. And if I don't, if it doesn't fit within that, then I can't do it. Now,
Exactly.
What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't have any thoughts on it. Then yes, I agree. I mean, that's how we create a meaningful life. We know what matters to us. We know our values, and then we live in accordance with those. And that's the basis for a meaningful life is knowing who you are and living in an aligned way. And then helping others, living the purpose that you are meant to be living on this earth. You're here for a reason. What is that reason? It might just be to smile at somebody today, like when you open the door or, let someone go in front of you on your way into the grocery store. But all of that only happens when you feel like you're doing the right thing by yourself and your values.
Okay, I'm glad you're saying that, because let me tell you this. I have been struggling with doing a video sales letter uh, because of the issue around money. I understand the importance of it,
Mhm.
but to force myself to do it is another thing, because I grew up in a religious background. I mean, home,
Yeah.
and so it's really deep seated. So what would be your advice for something like that? Because other people struggle with that too, especially if they're like me, an introvert. And first of all, don't
Well,
get me wrong.
I'm an introvert as well. So yeah,
Okay,
we're in good
that's
company. We're
awesome.
in good company. So
Okay.
what's the struggle? Is it the doing a video? It's not I'm assuming it's not a problem to do a video.
No.
It's a video that has an ask. Is that the problem?
Yeah, we're talking about, okay, I have to, to me, it's like a manipulation. You're trying to manipulate
Oh,
people. So
okay,
you,
that's the
that's
problem,
my
right?
mindset.
But that's why. That's exactly. And so you don't want to manipulate people. You don't want to push people into doing something they don't want to do.
Oh,
And so, of course, you have a challenge doing it because you've created this connection between selling means doing something to somebody and somehow harming them,
okay,
right?
okay,
So
okay,
that's why. So that's why. Think about
okay.
this. Think about when you go to the grocery store. If you go to the grocery store, you go with your shopping list, and maybe you go through the produce aisle and you think, oh, look at those beautiful organic oranges. Oh, they look so good. I want some. So you put them in your basket, and then you're going up and down the aisles and you see, look at that. That's some amazing cereal. I want that cereal. You put that in your basket, and then you go to the cash register and you pay it. You buy those beautiful oranges and that delicious cereal and all the other things on your list, and you pay for it and you walk out the door. That is selling. You wanted something, you bought it, you exchanged cash for it. Somebody has to get paid. They've got to make it, they've got to pay their staff. And then off you go. You go home and then you enjoy it. People love to buy, they love to buy the thing they want. Those oranges were so delicious looking. They want to buy the oranges. They didn't want the potato. Really? Like, don't make me buy the potato. I already have lots of potatoes at home, right? That making me buy the potato, that's what you're thinking sales is. When in fact, it's oranges.
You're adding value, in other words. You're giving people results. So that's worth a cost.
Giving
It's no
people
different.
what they want. You're giving them
Okay,
what they want.
okay, okay.
So selling is always a form of service. And I love to think of it as an invitation. Right earlier in the discussion, we talked about your dream client wants something. Maybe they want a new career, just as an example. They've looked everywhere, they've watched the videos, they've taken the classes, they've done all the stuff, they've got the certificates, they've tried, and they really want this new career. And if you don't offer it to them when you know that you can help them, aren't you doing them a disservice?
I am, and they're going to eventually go somewhere else. And I know that. That's the
Yeah.
reality.
Yeah, exactly. So the question is, how is that video sales letter a genuine and authentic invitation and show them that you can help them get what they want? And then 100% they get to choose. Do they want this? Maybe. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. Maybe they do, but not yet. Remember, we have to always think like they might be interested, but they might not be ready quite yet. But that's okay. We still make the invite. We still,
Absolutely.
come on, would you like some oranges, right? Like, look, I've got this great basket of oranges. And then it's up to them to say if they want them or not, not to you.
Absolutely. I have heard that individuals have to see something 7 times before they make up their mind whether to buy or not.
Sometimes that's true. And some of it, there's a whole concept about some people are ready now and they might see you, they might watch that VSL, video sales letter, and they might go, definitely, she's the person for me. Some people might have to see you 10 times, 15 times, 7 times, and that's okay. That's why we keep showing up. We keep showing up and we keep inviting different I like inviting as a little different than making offers. An
I do
invitation
too.
says, the door is open. If you'd like to come in, please do. Right? It's ready
Yeah.
for you if you want. That's what your VSL is. Does that help
Yeah.
you?
Absolutely. I have to reframe it. Okay. I know that.
Yeah.
Side of it. I know. I
Think
know.
of think of something that you've bought that you love. What do you
Okay.
something you bought that you love?
Yeah.
Give me an example.
Um, I don't know. I'm a impulse buyer. Okay.
Okay. Didn't you
If I
just
see
get a new
something,
puppy? Didn't you just get a
yeah.
new puppy?
Let's
Right?
use him as an example.
Did anybody, was it really mean that they offered you this new puppy? No. It's like, really? I'd love a new puppy. Right?
I sought the puppy out. Okay. I went
There's
and
the
looked at him.
oranges. That's the oranges.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that's the way I look at it as a puppy. Okay. And he's adorable. That was money well spent. Even though I'm
Yes.
tired, but nevertheless. Yeah,
And
I get
pretty
what you're
soon you'll have no baseboards in your house either, but that's okay because he'll chew them all off in the little short puppy teeth. Yeah.
Yeah, right. The reason I asked you this question too because I know a lot of other coaches also suffer from the same thing is
Very much.
with this situation, and so to bring that up helps other people to try to make sense of it as well.
I agree, Margaret. And I think that there's something that happens in coaches love to help people. And we get tangled in just helping. Like there's a lot of coaches that when I start working with them, they say, I would do this for free. Even if I made no money, I would be happy. Right. And so there is a little bit of a tangle there about money and sales and service and our contribution within there. So it's a really great topic to talk about.
Absolutely. And as we find, people take it much more seriously when they're paying for it. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Let's keep it real. They're gonna put in the work because
Yeah.
then they come back and say, "Well, I didn't get nothing out of it." Well, it's like a bank account. If you don't put nothing in, of course you're not gonna get nothing out. It's clear.
You can write the check, but it's not clearing.
My mama would say, "Don't write a check that your butt can't cash." Okay,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
leave yourself exposed. Okay, that's a no-no. But as far as coaching, I just want to tell you, I have like I said, I have basically coached other coaches, through reciprocal coach. And
Yeah.
those coaches were amazing and we all supported and connected and and assisted each other in the process. So not only did I have other coaches, coaching me, but I also participated in supervision, which is extremely important because it allows you to, you know, see blind spots. Okay, you want to talk
Very
about
much.
supervision? You want to talk about that?
Sure. Yeah. So supervision is you coach in front of somebody. You either record it and send them the recordings, and then they listen to it and they give you feedback. Where did you miss something? Where was there a potential opening that you just didn't even hear? Where were you not fully present with the client? Where was the client resistant? And either you could have said, is it all right if we stay with this uncomfortable place a little bit longer and asked for consent? Or you got scared and backed off. So it's a supervision is a way of looking at your coaching skills and seeing what you're doing and seeing places that you as a coach could have shown up more fully and more in service of your client while still being very respectful of what is the client wanting to do now. Are they okay to stay in this uncomfortable spot, or would they rather just take it a little bit easy this time around? So it's all about the dance of, where did you miss an opportunity? Where did you not even see an opportunity? Where was it your stuff? that was in the way of you asking that tough question? What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts?
My thoughts is that's what I love about coaching. You get an opportunity to do mentor coaching, having other individuals listening to your recordings and giving their feedback, and they're also learning as well, and uh, and everything. The whole process, I just really
Yeah,
enjoy it.
yeah,
Okay. And it's magnificent to be able to, it's like you evolve through the process. And I understand why you have to get all of these hours and all of these trainings and everything, because what we're doing is very vital to helping people to bring about change and desired outcomes.
exactly. Yeah. There's one thing that I really like to do with the mentor coaching, and I always recommend this to my clients, is first off, it's one thing to listen to the conversation and get the verbal cues. And then I'll often recommend that then they go back and just watch, turn the sound off and watch the dynamic and to watch the what's happening, the micro expressions on the client's face, the micro expressions on the coach's face as well, and see what they learn from the arc of the coaching, the dynamic of the relationship. Where were things moving up and then all of a sudden the energy dropped off a cliff? Like, see it from that perspective as well. It's not just about the words and the conversation and the questions, it's about what's going on behind the scenes. So the term for it, if it somebody's listening that's not a coach, is we call this level 3 listening. We're listening to the space, what's going on in the space during the call. And that I have found to be so informative when, like, if I'm watching a call and with no sound and like, oh, what am I seeing? Look at that. That's so interesting, right? What could I have done differently there?
Yes, that is amazing. That's where you're doing your deep, deep coaching. Yes, the things that are left unsaid, and that's one of the things that I learned with working overseas is because I couldn't understand Arabic when I was in Iraq. I couldn't understand Hebrew when I was in Israel, but I can read people's body language and I understand when people's tone, whether they're either excited or whether they're angry, you know, and way the person's body is situated, you can tell certain things about it. So you can say, okay, I need to get up out of Dodge, or everything is okay. Okay, so
So, isn't this interesting? And I bet, 2020 hindsight, I bet that you had no idea that that skill was actually going to be so vital for you as a coach. The skill that you've been growing of being in conversation with someone that you don't speak their language and you had to watch the body language and interpret and make sure that everything was being responded to appropriately. That is a coaching skill that you've honed over the years, but you just didn't know it until you became a coach.
yes, I learned that very well too as a child in an abusive childhood when I could tell that my father's voice raised a certain way that I needed to get out of Dodge, because trouble was coming. You learn that as a child, and you develop these skills, and you don't realize until you start putting the picture and the pieces together like a jigsaw puzzle.
Exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah, so many highly sensitive people. That's the path for how they got there is they've got radar, right? They've got the pattern recognition of when things might be getting a little bit uneasy or potentially dangerous.
And you have to be. The self-awareness is key to life and success, as we know. Okay,
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
haven't gotten this far without it. Okay. So with that being said, is there anything else that you would like to touch on today?
No, I think it's just that invitation that, if there's somebody listening to your Substack here and they're thinking, That coaching thing sounds pretty interesting. To reach out to Margaret. She's an amazing coach. She's got years of experience. Try it. And it's a wonderful experience for you. So just that invitation that somebody who maybe would never have subscribed to your Substack is going to see it, and it's just like, let's make sure that they know that that invitation is there for them now.
Yes, absolutely. And it will be. And I want to thank you, Candy, for coming on today. You and I connected on LinkedIn. I love Substack, but I also love LinkedIn. And now that I'm retired, I can do much more connecting and much more coaching.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be amazing.
Yes, and I am also going to include your links. One of the links that you gave me was stepintosuccessnow.com. And I'm going to put your other two links as well in there. And thank you so much today. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the invitation, and I really enjoyed our conversation as well.
Me too. Thank you so much.